Hello and welcome to Chariot LARP ZETA. My name is Tara. I run this crazy show here. I designed this game. We're an online, digital, obviously, live action role playing game set in the sci-fi genre, and we are at the end of the century, and we're about to launch a ship, one in a series of several ships called Chariot, because Earth is kind of not exploded totally yet, but it's a mess, and we want a GTFO, and we want to go to Proxima B, which actually takes several generations, and we want to have a place for our descendants to live, basically. So the people here, the characters here, are part of the crew tasked with making that happen. I am playing Captain Emily O'Sullivan, who is not as nice as me, I don't think, and so I'm gonna get grumpy in a minute. And we actually have a bunch of like agenda items to go over today, so there's going to be a little more structure to this in the beginning, and then after that we're going to kind of launch into some other stuff. With that said, we'll be in game shortly. 3, 2, 1, game on. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you have had a safe and secure week. Good. Good. I see you've all at least made it here, so one can only assume that things went relatively well. I have made it to a secure location, so I am broadcasting from there. It's a bit, well, I can't say much about it, but I am safe, and I've been able to get a lot of work done here, a lot of preparations done, so grateful for this opportunity to do that. We've got a bunch of news items today. I don't even know where to begin. I guess I'll update by briefing you on the other ships currently in transit. No problems reported for Alpha and Beta, which is fantastic. We have no problems really reported with any of the ships. Just some odd kind of like rumors. I don't want to spread misinformation, but we do want to let the other ships know that we care about them. Let's see, Delta, that's redacted. Gamma is, the crew is actually orbiting Mars right now. They are not on their ship yet, but they were kind of preparing. Gamma was built up there. So they have a little bit of a different design, and they're getting ready to launch. But they've had some weird communications issues cut out, and when I asked Reliheart and Company about it, they didn't really provide much info. So I'm still waiting on a briefing, because obviously I feel like we need to have that information before we launch. So if anyone can get more information or comes across more information about what's going on up there, that would be great. Obviously you can brief me securely. Let's see, Iota, as far as I know, they're ready to launch, but there's some rumors about their captain's health. So, if anybody wants to kind of extend their well wishes, that might be good. It's a little rough, you don't want to have a sick captain. That's pretty difficult. But yeah, most of the other chariots so far seem to be doing well. No reported problems with the ones already in orbit. And Charlie, our pilot, is not here today because she's actually traveling, and she's going to be visiting some members of the Epsilon crew in person and by broadcast as well. They've been kind of silent. We reached out to them. They've had some concerns. They've been grumbling. She's going to go handle that public relations issue since I have Northrop here to help me, and since I think the worst is over with the whole citizen complaints and everything that we handled last time. Hopefully that's taken care of. Yes, you may do that. Probably sending over some documentation is the best, but I'll make sure that you're in touch with her for that. That's going to be really helpful. She's definitely enthusiastic and much better at presenting a face to the public than other people like me. But she could certainly use some guidance. We don't want to go too far, make too many promises that compromise her security or anything like that. So, there are a couple other things that have been happening. I'm just going to run through these news items and then we can kind of discuss. So, where am I going to start here? I'm going to leave the personal one for the end. So there have been other threats, and Kit has some more specific classified briefings on this, but there are some more EMP threats, and EMP takes out like electronics and communications. So I've been told that right now those are the #1 threat to the success of this mission, now that I am secure. And so just please be on the lookout for that. In other news, I have not been drinking a lot of whiskey. I'm drinking some coffee today. So I've been cutting down a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Thanks. We'll see how I do. If I get grumpy, then coffee or whiskey's in order. Exactly. It's like what kind of technicality I would go for there. It's like you know me very well. In fact, you do. So, yeah. So, just for people who have been concerned about the amount of whiskey I drink, I've been certainly cutting down a little bit, and we're in good shape there. So please don't worry. I feel a little bit more lucid today. I think we're doing great. I think being in a secure location has helped me a lot with that too. So, right, EMP. So there's some global instability happening, isn't there always? But allegedly, over the past, hundreds of years, past centuries, there have been a series of secret societies throughout Earth, stuff of conspiracy theorists, right? But apparently there is also a group where a bunch of the leaders of them meet in secret and make some big decisions. And I don't know a lot of specifics, but since this is now kind of public knowledge in the news, I thought I'd mention it because we are doing something that's sort of groundbreaking. And so that's not really necessarily like a security concern. I don't think of it as a threat. But they've been meeting and they've been influencing Mars. And so it kind of only begs to stand that an influence of one or more Chariot missions may be next. And I like our crew the way it is. I don't want to be influenced by them. And last item. That's a great question. I do not know. I am supposed to be having a meeting with Lucius Rellohart soon, and he's a friend of mine, and I'm going to definitely present my concerns. So if anybody has any other concerns or questions for him, I will certainly send them his way. He's got questions from a lot of the Chariot crews, so that's a thing that we're doing. And he's still in range because he's on beta, so it'll be entirely possible to talk to him. And yeah, I mean, like, nothing specific yet. And I mean, I trust everyone here, so I think we're gonna be all right. The other item I need to add is semi-personal in that shortly after I arrived at this location, I made contact with Emily Epsilon, and it didn't go well. Well, I mean, how would you feel if you met a copy of yourself that was kind of envious of some of your personal and public successes? As Kit can attest to, my reaction was maybe a little aggressive. particularly afterwards. But I don't get along well with her. It's kind of a very weird professional thing. There's some tension there. So, hence why I sent Charlie to deal with that situation. I want nothing to do with that, nothing to do with her. I wish her best. I want all of the Chariot missions to succeed. Well, I thought that things would go well. I thought that there were some things to settle, to talk out. And I was not the initial aggressor in this situation. I was just trying to have a conversation, and she got kind of aggressive with me. So she just, I think she's resentful of some of my successes. I'll put it that way. And she, you know, I think that she feels like, you know, I'm pretty close to you guys, and I think she feels a little bit of a like she's missing out. I mean, Epsilon has my sister. She has Sarah. What was that, Kit? No, go ahead. To talk to her? Yeah, well, I did it. And Epsilon is not happy with me. So, but it's one of those things, you know. I get people and experiences that she wanted, and she gets she gets Sarah. I mean, I know I'm AI, but I have memories of growing up with my sister. And I get to keep those memories, but I don't get to keep her. And I don't get to keep her safe. She's now on a much, in my opinion, much less secure, much less competently run vessel. Yeah, it's weird to think about it that way. These are the kind of things that drive me to drink. Well, well, that's fine. That's fair enough.
Know about these missions that we don't know yet?
I'm not able to answer that question.
Always entertaining.
I give you please be advised that I have on a number of occasions shared classified information here with the understanding that it goes no further. But then there's things that endanger sources, and I can't do that. Not unless there is some specific action that we can take in order to ameliorate that.
Well, does the captain know about anything that could potentially be a threat to the mission?
The captain knows a significant amount about this history, and if the captain wishes, I will divulge it. But it's not a threat to this mission. There are threats to this mission, but the interpersonal relationship of the different Emily O'Sullivans is not one of them.
Good.
There are certainly
That's right.
some items that
Critical thing to note here is that the captain for each of the chariots was chosen by Lucius Relhard Corporation for very good reasons. Not happenstantially, not on the spur of the moment, but really quite some time in advance. And for those reasons, remain next to him. And unfortunately, the episode that happened with Chariot Epsilon has decreased the likelihood of the mission succeeding, but there isn't anything to be done about it that I can think of, at least.
Well, that's rather frustrating. What are the chances?
Oh, well, it is simply that Emily Epsilon is a different person than Emily Zeta and Iota and Gamma and Delta.
Yeah.
you won't have to worry. I'm okay, and we're gonna do the best. We're gonna focus on this mission, and we're gonna succeed. But I do want to leave with the best possible relationship with the other chariots as I can. Look, I've cared about. I know I don't seem like the most caring person, and I'm not. I care about causes more than I care about people. But over the course of my life, I have cared about more than causes, and I gotta tell you, not one of them has been worth cutting down the drinking for until this specific mission and this specific crew and the individuals on this specific crew. It took a combination. No one person, no one mission was gonna make that kind of focus happen. And look at this. This is coffee. See, coffee. There's not even any whiskey in it, guys. And I don't know. I've never felt like this committed to anything before, and I'm probably, I'm known for being committed to causes. So I have a bit of sadness for Emily Epsilon, but I also know that we will succeed and that it is not an option. Like, we're going to. Failure is no option here.
Indeed. There won't be much left if we fail.
That's true. And so I am going to cut the feed for any public viewership in just a moment here, and we're going to have a private discussion of just the crew. Clarification at a game. If you're watching the stream, I see I have viewers on here. If you're watching the stream, you're welcome to keep watching. Just know that what transpires until we make another clarification is going to occur privately, unless there's some way you could have hacked. And if that is the case, come to us on the Discord channel or on Facebook, and we'll work that out. So I'm going back in game in 3, 2, 1. So I've cut the feed so that we can be a little bit more open with each other about whatever needs to be said. By the way, Kit, I'm stealing your shirt. I'm cold. So that we can say whatever else needs to be said. I don't know. How much do you guys want to know?
As much as relevant.
To bring up. Well, ask questions and I'll tell you what I can.
What sort of threat are we dealing with?
I'd rather deal with questions about the captain first, if you don't mind.
All right. How many Captain Emilys are there?
The original plan called for 12.
Okay.
But they were not all created.
So there's less than 12.
That's correct.
Why are the Emilys?
There are 6 that I know of.
Why are the Emilys
Epsilon
different?
The original Captain Emily for Epsilon was suffered a software crash owing to the activity of rogue ministers. Who found an exploit, unfortunately.
So accident is why they're all different.
Oh no, that one's deliberate.
But effectively, this was not intentional and design thing on the part of anybody.
No, unfortunately, Emily Epsilon has been replaced by Emily Zero.
Emily Zero? Being the original Captain O'Sullivan?
Yes, in a manner of speaking.
Is it the first copy made, or
No, the original.
the one born Captain Emily O'Sullivan?
No,
We're going to need a whole new language to describe all these things.
yeah, not exactly.
Not
Cut me off if you don't want me to continue.
I'm fine with you continuing as long as it's just to these two and me.
Understood. Would you all do me a favor, please? You should see a security message appearing on console. Will you punch that back in?
done.
Done.
Okay, I have confirmation. It's fine. You can continue.
So,
That may pop up again periodically. Just respond to it appropriately.
we'll keep ensuring we're on a secure channel.
Well, then I'm shifting encryption keys about every 5 minutes.
Naturally. So,
It's a pain in the ass, but in this case, I think it's necessary.
there are currently 6 operating instances of Captain Emily O'Sullivan, yes?
Not including Zero, yes.
0 is the 7th, and 0 is the one from...
Well, what does it say? There were 6. There are now 5, and Emily 0.
And Emily's...
The original
and
Emily Epsilon
was disabled by...
was irrecoverable, unfortunately.
Right. Emily 0.
Yes.
She is the source, so to speak, from which all of the other Emilys were derived.
Correct.
Is Emily 0... I don't know how to describe this. Born of mother and father. Or born of parents.
It depends on how you define those things.
I mean, I do know that
She's a genetic human.
I do know that I, known as Emily Zeta, like, I am the Emily Lucas that you met. Like,
Right.
you only have that memory with me, and even if there are other shared memory things happening, I was the one. I was the Emily that met you. Northrop, we met more recently, so I assume that is the same case. That I am the only Emily that you've worked with and dealt with, and I know that to be true in the case of Kit. So, it becomes complicated.
I have reason to believe that's all true. Your meeting each of us is after the divergence point.
It becomes complicated when Sarah comes into question, my sister. I had 2 sisters. One of them died somewhat recently in an incident at a lab in Antarctica. And there's a point where I may deal with that or drink about that. The other sister is Sarah. She's tough in a really different way. And she's on Epsilon. And my understanding is, as Kit's describing it, this divergence that happened between myself and the other Emilys, Sarah was part of the life of the original Emily, but I also have those memories. So for me, she's my sister. So here I was, not thinking I didn't really have to say goodbye to anyone, kind of pushing it all behind, pushing it all back, and then it's easy to not think about Sarah until she appears on another chariot, and I'm like, why did Epsilon get her? Why isn't she... Like, I can protect her. And that's the source of a lot of the struggle. I've also had other opportunities in my life that I think Epsilon has not had. And, or maybe will have other opportunities that Epsilon will not have. And she seems to be a little resentful of that. I mean, end of the day, she's on an all-female ship. I'm not.
Right. When was the plan for Chariot started?
Understanding, with the understanding that it has undergone quite a number of revisions in order to keep up with current events and shifting resources. Not quite 15 years ago.
Which was, by the way, before I met Lucius, but it doesn't mean that his plans weren't before, that I wasn't created before.
Well, that's not creepy at all.
I don't know. I mean, Lucius is a friend, and I intend on speaking with him again soon. But you can kind of guess what that maybe does to my ability to trust people, especially when I'm not drinking.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, like, this is it. You guys are it. You're like, who do I trust? Everyone's sitting in front of me, and that's about it.
Kit, you seem to know more than most of us.
Yes.
What's the purpose of Chariot? Because it's not just to save the human race. Do you know?
I don't know for certain. I have a good guess. So I would have to. If you want my opinion, I'll give it to you.
I mean, I never thought it was just for one reason.
But this is inferences that we have made over the past few years.
Your educated guess, then.
Yeah.
It is in fact, it's to change the human race, or to change the race of intelligent beings coming from it.
So each chariot is an experiment.
Yes,
The best one wins.
specifically in the interrelationship between natural and synthetics.
Synthetic.
It's the insistence, yes. Synthetic in different ways too.
Do you happen to know of anybody who's synthetic on this ship besides our captain?
Yes,
Would you mind sharing their identities?
I would mind.
Is it a danger?
No, I don't think so. But it might cause internal problems.
Is anybody else in this room synthetic? Or in this conversation?
I'm not going to answer that question.
You're not going to answer that question.
I'm sorry, I've got a professional secret keeper for 20 years.
I mean, I'm sure you're a professional secret keeper for 20 years, but we're going to be on a spaceship together for the rest of our lives.
Yes, and this period's a rather ticklish one. It is not during the mission that the greatest threat is, it's just before. That's when political problems could derail any of the chariots.
You think secrecy is the best course of action?
I think, yes, I do, frankly.
Who gave you these?
Chariot was secret for almost its entire existence, for very good reasons. It would have. There are a great many people who would have, for their own purposes, opposed it and at least occasioned it serious setbacks, if not blocked it altogether.
Well,
The board of directors of Rellenhart Industries, for example, doesn't know how.
well, of course, I'm sure most humans would be a little bit annoyed about the pessimism of such a project, even if it's realistic. But
There is pessimism indeed, but there's also a great deal of optimism.
optimism about our chances or about Earth's chances?
About the chances for intelligent life to prosper and find a new way forward.
Assuming we all get to Proxima B safely and securely.
It doesn't require that we all get there. It might
At least one of us.
If just some of us gets there, and perhaps if one of us gets there. The chariots are a chariot, the size of a chariot, in case this was a question, was calculated as the smallest possible complement that would have a chance of survival. Seeds, if you will, each one of which could potentially grow up to a tree.
So it
Or
technically only takes. So it technically only takes one of us to succeed, although ideally it would take more. But it's clear that the cultures on each chariot are incredibly different.
that's intended.
And that is specifically by design, we're now hearing, and not just by implement.
That is fine. Well, not everything was anticipated.
I'm sure.
But in fact, diversity was encouraged subtly in a number of different ways. For the same reason that genetic diversity is needed.
Diversity of viewpoints.
Correct. There's only so much predicting you can do as to what's going to succeed at the far end of a long trip like this.
It doesn't seem to be stopping people from trying at the social engineering.
Well, but the point is every chariot's a crapshoot. Some of them are not going to make it. The reason the chariot program is as large as it is to throw as many dice as possible, with the hope that some of them will turn up sixes.
But we're going to make it because I'm not just an algorithm.
No,
Indeed.
none of us are, but there are perils that, frankly, can only be anticipated so far. And I happen to think that ZETA has a better chance than most. But frankly, that's a seat of the pants calculation. I've seen the computer simulations, and at a certain point they break down for lack of sufficient data.
I mean, Alpha was the first, the first run of anything, of any show, of any prototype is always the most exciting but the most shaky. Like now that it's just us talking, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it.
They have it. It's possible, but they didn't spend enough. They didn't spend enough effort on their internal environment, I'm afraid.
Why?
Why? Because they didn't know how important it was. We really didn't know how important it was until we saw some of Alpha's failures before they lost communication.
Who do you work for?
I'm not at liberty to tell you.
I think that's
It's government, if that is all I'm allowed to say.
governments, you say. So there's several governments which have come together on this and agreed that this was a good idea.
No, as far as I know, there's just one. But it's the one that Relevant Industries chose to partner with.
Ah. Single government.
As wealthy and as large and powerful as the reach of Relevant Industries is, there's some facilities and capabilities that we don't have.
Well, for one thing, he doesn't have the facilities to build any ship like this without people knowing.
Correct. Whereas the governmental employer in question does.
Well, naturally. A wallhead,
It also
clandestine
has
ship,
some
right?
information about precisely what all of those choices they have.
Naturally.
That, in fact, nobody, as far as I know, no one else has. They are at least extraordinarily.
So what you're saying is that a single organization on Earth, government, Lucius Relelhard, betting the future of intelligent life in absolute secrecy.
No, secrecy is absolute. There's been a fair. We've made things as secret as possible. Relelhard did this, kept this secret considerably before he partnered up. But since then, we have attempted to maintain secrecy as much as possible and engaged in active disinformation.
You know the secrets are going to come out,
Of course, they are.
and you know what's going to happen.
If they come out late enough, then it won't matter.
And if they come out before the chariots leave, before our chariots leave, you're talking about the last World War.
Yes? I'm quite aware of that. Apropos of which, we have funded two threats that cannot be ignored.
What's going on with Gamma, and is that one of the threats?
I don't know exactly what's going on with Gamma. They've ceased to communicate. My information prior to them indicated that they were having some technical problems.
They were having what problems?
They were having problems calibrating their reaction engines, problems that they shouldn't be having. And there was a question of sabotage.
The question of sabotage.
Then they stopped communicating.
What is the full range of experiments that are being performed?
Answer that question.
Well, I mean, clearly there's this question of non-synthetic versus synthetic. I'm sure at least one of these,
I hope that there's no verses.
well, versus in the sense of we're trying different things. We want to see which variable at the right rate turns up a good solution. So I'm sure there's one that's conventional humanity, there's one that's synthetics, there's one that's genetically engineered humans. Is there anything that was tried that didn't make it through the initial testing process? Something biological, an agent perhaps, that was a mistake?
I surmise that that's the case.
So we are fighting somebody's screw up in terms of this plan.
No, I believe those were fairly early failures.
But it was still part of this plan that got messed up that now has come back to haunt everything.
There's no way to plan for something 15 years in the future. No, anyone would have known. Relelhard's a genius, but it only goes so far. You have to plan as best you can and adapt as things turn out differently than you expected. People and populations are not as amenable to statistical analysis as
And why?
Well, look,
We obviously have a very different philosophy about this topic, so I don't even know if it's worth fighting you. I don't
And
understand
we'll-
why it's point to try.
we'll come back to it, but outwardly, I feel like my job is to talk about how amazing Chariot in general is and how this is a great victory for humanity privately.
and so it is.
Yeah. but privately, my job is Chariot Zeta. Like, this is the success. It's not that I don't give a fuck about those other chariots, but, like, I certainly give a lot less of a fuck than I do about mine.
Well, right, but all of this secrecy, all of this lack of knowledge, I mean, Kit, you seem to be the only one I've heard of who has this knowledge. Are there even people on other chariots that have this knowledge? I mean, if Gamma is a threat, if Gamma's threat is biological in nature, something that couldn't necessarily be easily contained on a planet which we arrive at 70 years in the future, does that mean that Chariot Gamma needs to be kept from launching?
I don't think so.
But you don't know so? Is there anyone who knows?
I should like to think that there are people on Gamma who know, but
Are there people on Gamma left?
Yes. At least there were as of last transmission.
I mean, if they were blown out of orbit, I feel like we would know.
Oh, no. Sorry. Yeah. No. I mean, if a ship exploded in Mars orbit, we'd know about it.
Naturally.
And in fact, their orbit seems to be completely undisturbed, and they're still powered. They've just not been talking. It appears to have been a voluntary cessation of communications.
Right. And how long was that cessation? How long
has it been?
Yeah.
Well, it's been 6 days.
So, either they voluntarily stop talking because they just don't want to have to interact with the outside world because they see it as dangerous, or they voluntarily stop talking because of more sinister reasons.
I think the question is whether the reason that they have stopped talking is in fact credible.
I don't understand.
So,
Gamma, can you explain what you mean?
When Gamma was investigating its engine problems, it found out that the reason for the calibration being thrown off was a signal coming from outside the ship. That was interacting with the ionic coils.
What kind of signal?
The neutrino wave, as far as they can tell.
Kit, would you be able to speak up? I'm having trouble here.
Oh, I'm sorry. They concluded it was a local disturbance in neutrino waves.
Do they identify?
They didn't. They realized they determined it was non-random, and their conclusion, very tentative, I'm sure, is that something or someone was trying to contact them using extremely unorthodox means.
You sure this wasn't an attempt at some kind of weapon then? I mean, we know about all the terror activity with things going on at Earth.
It's true. But frankly, if you wanted to blow up a chariot, a missile would be a whole lot easier to do it with than a technology to generate neutrino waves, which, as far as I know, doesn't exist right now.
Doesn't exist.
It's like my trying to pass a piece of information to you by putting it on a computer chip and then dropping it to the floor in front of you rather than speaking. It's an awfully arcane way of doing something.
I mean, that's on our flight path, so I don't like that.
Can we make it not on our flight path?
I don't know if we can officially make Mars not on our flight path, but we have Charlie, so if we need to pull a last-minute maneuver, we've got the right pilot.
Can we do like the other side of Mars? Does that make sense in space? I'm sorry, this is not my expertise.
If we delay the launch, we'll have to miss Mars. If we launch slightly earlier, we'll have to miss Mars.
We're not delaying the launch. I'm not letting that happen.
Until Gamma engages in communications with us, or any other chariot, or anyone else, it's very difficult to judge the nature of this threat.
And that's just one of the two threats that are credible in the series, yeah?
Oh no, there are two threats that are specifically against Chariot Zeta.
Ah. What's the first one? This?
The first one is we have found a spy who is on board the ship.
One of the last engineers working on making sure everything's put together?
Yes, an electronics tech. She was happenstantially found to have spyware and to have certain information that's clandestine.
I will fucking murder her.
It's been swept.
Well, I don't think we should kill her just yet. She might have a death switch.
It's not like we know who she's a spy for.
We don't know. There are half a dozen organizations that come to mind, but I'm not sure it's all that useful to get this information out of her.
Oh, I just want 5 minutes alone in a room with her.
I don't wish any spy to have access to you, Captain. We've combed her for weapons, but it seems an unnecessary risk.
Are we certain that she's a spy and that she's not...
She's in possession of things which she shouldn't.
She might be using that to ransom her way onto the ship. She might be using that because she's an activist who wants to sabotage.
Tomato, tomato.
Oh, there's a very different
Oh,
thing.
look, there's some left.
Oh, I can certainly understand that. Now, you say that she's a spy. It's a very different situation if she just wants to be on board the ship. It's a very different situation.
If you prefer, I can say spy or saboteur or infiltrator. It doesn't really matter, does it?
Agent of a foreign power.
Well, we need to figure something out because this is an empty bottle.
Power? She's the agent of hostile governmental power.
James.
No, not everyone loves Rebel.
Yeah, well, let's see why.
My affection is dwindling.
What is the other threat? Quickly.
I'd like to decide what to do with her first. Her name
Well.
is Amanda Preston.
Well, for one thing, we have to see... We don't know what her intent is.
And he's on another chariot.
That's absolutely true. We may not discover what her intent is.
And she's on our chariot, you said?
Yes.
So, her intent would help determine what we should do with her. She's a foreign spy to a foreign government keeping her locked up.
I know what I do. I know what I do.
If she's a journalist, and she dies and releases whatever information she has to the public, such that, a governmental power is involved in this, that could end very, very badly for everybody indeed. If she dies. What's believe Kit just lost connection.
Yeah. Well, Wally's not here. Just so you know, I'm gonna kill her.
Yep. I can't believe it, but I think I'm on the captain's side for this one.
Sorry, I lose transmission.
It's fine, Kit. I just kind of decided that I would enjoy removing this threat personally.
Captain, if you think she should be removed, which I think is quite a reasonable thing, certainly disagree.
I really want to be the one to do it. Like, you do not fuck with my ship.
All right.
Arrange it.
Yes.
Captain, with all due respect, I don't think it's safe for you to be the one responsible for this. If she has a bomb implanted in her chest and you die, that's going to be much worse to the ship than if somebody else does it.
We ran her through a microscanner.
And you're certain there's nothing hidden.
Also, if she had had a bomb implanted, she would have blown herself up on the capture. There'd be no reason not to. She would want to do that prior to our using, narcotics on her, for example.
This is so very
She
empty.
blew herself up, so as far as I can tell, she does not have a suicide device.
Look, I'm just saying, I think that it might not be the most secure decision, but I think it's the decision that our crew needs. Just like the whiskey run, I can do it.
Just put her in a transport shuttle, fly her out into the middle of the orbit, the space between Earth and Mars, and space her.
I feel like that might be a PR disaster.
If anybody knew about it.
Wait, that's PR.
I understand the captain. I think it's a perfectly reasonable viewpoint. This is the captain's decision, therefore the captain should be responsible
Of course.
for it directly.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I think you guys should determine the means. You can do it as safely as you can possibly configure. I, however, will take care of it once I'm in that room with her.
I'll see that you're brought to the same location.
Thank you.
Well, Kit, I assume that you know the best, safest means of killing someone.
Captain wants to shoot her.
Thank you. It's been a while.
I do not believe I'm a party to this. But oh well.
You can pretend you didn't hear it. I mean, there's drugs for that.
Yeah.
There's drugs for that, Northrop. I mean,
Your mother. No, I didn't hear nothing. Yeah, that.
we have Relahart connections. You can take a pill.
That disturbs you. You may not wish to witness the next part.
Oh no, let's hear this.
Oh,
Anyway,
Kit always brings the best information.
Northrop,
always.
I think we should catch a half a bottle of whiskey between us after this.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Commander, I'm a teetotaler, but I'll watch you drink in sympathy. Let's put it that way.
I'm just over here with my other best friend. Okay, this is what happens when we're not on public stream.
Good. Oh, Lord. All right. Well, Kit,
All right, so the worst news.
I'm sure that you all are somewhat familiar with the political activist group, One Earth Society.
Correct.
reasonably so.
Yeah.
We have had reason to believe for some time that they have a clandestine arm who are essentially terrorists.
They certainly wouldn't be the first group to do that on Earth or Mars.
Not at all. There's no earth-shattering information there.
I mean,
There is a credible threat by One Earth against Chariot Zeta. And
fantastic.
analysis of intelligence information suggests that they are manufacturing a pinpoint bomb.
Well, now this got serious. I'm glad I'm here right now. Not where I was.
When you say a pinpoint bomb, do you mean something like a missile or something that they're going to plant on the ship?
Oh no, I'm sorry. A pinpoint bomb is a device that collapses a very small amount of material to a pinpoint source and causes tidal gravity waves.
Like that crazy bit of the engine you guys want to install.
That one's safe.
They are essentially you have a bomb that can fit in a briefcase, which can level everything within 100 yards without difficulty. It's non-fissile, unfortunately, so radiation detectors can't spot it. It's a technology, fortunately, known to very few
And yet somehow
non-governmental actors.
this
Since the breakup of the Ukrainian Federation, unfortunately, some of their information has gotten out, in particular
right.
a man named Daniel Marichek.
Okay. So we can't.
We know that One Earth Society has access to significant amounts of money. We don't know who. And
Did they offer?
Managed to hire this man.
Do they offer a demand?
No, I expect that they will claim responsibility once the bomb goes off. They are not looking to blackmail the Chariot program.
Just to destroy it.
As much of it as they can for political purposes.
Is there any way to detect this bomb?
Yes, but the detection apparatus is fairly elaborate. And there's only so much we can do against a single infiltrating individual armed with a pinpoint bomb.
How close to the ship is it to being? How close is the ship to being finished?
The ship is essentially finished. But we're still, we're running hardware and software tests. And there's always a few parts that need to be, that fail test and need to be replaced. But mostly it's just a matter of getting all the supplies on board, getting the personnel on board, 1,000 logistical things. Material construction's been finished for some time.
Well, it sounds like we need to find this. Make sure it doesn't get on the ship.
There is, I believe, that I may have done so, or at least a very likely location where it is. Failing that, a very likely location for Marichek.
I'd really like to help you hunt this stuff down. I know I can't, but you know I want to.
No, the difficulty here is One Earth Society has some very high placed friends. Senator Harsham, for example, and there are others. So we can't report this to the authorities. They'll just mother
Can't Bellhart just write somebody a check?
Marichek's making a bomb, we don't even know how to get in touch with him. And if he's making a bomb for these people, then we're not going to stop him at this point, except through use of force.
But you know where the bomb is being made.
With a high probability.
Well, it sounds like we need an expeditionary force to take care of this.
Negative. It's a fairly defensible location. We can't have a commando strike in a city there. It would be impossible.
I knew you weren't going to let me do a field assignment anyway, this close to mission launch. But it was worth a shot.
Is he in a building that's populated by innocent civilians?
It's unlikely, but possible.
Here's a thought. Once we launch Chariot,
But it's always possible that there are squatters or unauthorized occupants.
Drop a tungsten rod on his head. Nobody will know the difference.
I have a means of dealing with it. It's just a question of whether I should go ahead.
I mean, there's also some of Chariot's parts up in space. I don't know, is the weapons array already online up there? That would be an easy way to deal with things, wouldn't it?
I think
If a chariot were to fire on Earth, it would be destroyed about 15 minutes later.
yes. I don't think that would be a great
There are
idea.
quite a number of governments with missiles pointed at the sky.
And some of them are already not happy with Chariot.
They are kept in check only by each other to a considerable degree.
It's a miracle another war hasn't, well, third war hasn't broken out already.
Well,
Anyway.
no one will tolerate a weapons platform in orbit.
Not anymore, at least. Anyways,
No, not anymore.
so, you...
Fortunately, the
So-
technology required to be able to launch an orbit-capable missile from the ground just gets cheaper and easier with every passing year.
So what is your option then, Kit?
Drone strike.
Drones, right? Is this a city in... What country is this city in? Where? In the United Kingdom. It's in Britain?
I mean, Britain's a mess. Or at least it was. At least it was after I got done trying to help it.
Is it London?
Does this really matter?
You're launching a drone strike.
Yes, I'm launching a drone strike at some warehouses, which hopefully, if they're occupied at all, are occupied only by our enemies. People that we have significant reason to know are building a bomb to try to destroy our spacecraft. And ideally, as much of the crew that's caught in its vicinity as possible.
You trust your
A
sources.
bomb that is easy for one person to smuggle from one place to another.
Lieutenant?
There's no specific expertise to set it off.
Right. But like most bombs. Lieutenant, you trust your sources. Tell me why I should trust your sources.
I can't tell you my sources. It's just a question of whether you trust me.
You haven't told me a truthful thing, and something I can verify at least.
He kept me safe.
That's the nature of intelligence, I'm afraid. I'm not saying that this should necessarily satisfy you. And I understand your objections. But I don't know what else to say.
I mean, we have input on a decision, or the illusion of input on this decision.
I'm not going. We will try to find another way to intercept the bomb if you don't approve of this, Captain.
I'm inclined to say that it's time to authorize a strike, but that has an impact on a world that we're leaving behind, not the world that we're going to create. I don't know. What does everybody else think?
Some people.
How? Whose drone would you be using? What government? Somebody's going to tie this drone back to somebody, so who's it going to be tied back to?
Actually, there is every likelihood that the source of the drone server will never be discovered.
The source of the drone might not be discovered, but who appears to be the source of the drone might be discovered.
That's possible. The drone self-destruct circuits will be activated as soon as they have launched their missiles.
And this is the nature of the job that we've signed up for.
So I do not know a better way to cover that. Anything involving people would almost certainly involve a security breach. You just can't keep operations in populated areas secret.
I think we should authorize it.
This all sounds way too speculative to me, especially when we know, if this were in the abstract without the fact that we know that also our intelligence apparatus already got compromised, and that would be one thing. I'm a little concerned now at the number of these items popping up. I'm also concerned that, as the captain aptly put it, of what kind of worlds we're doing for people that's going to be behind. This threat is just too far out to be realistically engaging in operative missions again.
Is our mission really to give a fuck about the people that we leave behind, though?
Well, I certainly care about the people we leave behind.
I mean, my mission is to get ZETA launched.
People in person, very much. These are not reasonable people. These are people with a very strong, very strident political agenda.
People who are going to harm civilians,
Will not,
no matter what we do or don't do.
will not stoop. Yes, who will be setting off a highly destructive thing without really any regard for collateral injuries. Take that for what it's worth.
So, in fact, we could be saving lives and not just our own.
It's possible, but I'm not going to say that. We will be preventing the destruction of Chariot. We will significantly decrease the likelihood that Chariot ZETA will fall prey to a terrorist bomb. That's as much as I can say.
If the end result of this drone strike is that the war starts before we leave, and we're about to die and everybody else is going to die, Kit, I'm going to kill you first. Because all it takes is somebody seeing a tiny piece of debris that says United States Armed Forces or Russian Armed Forces.
Drones go missing more often than you might think.
I'm sure they do. But we're leaving behind a powder keg.
I mean, if this world were in any way possible, yeah, we can't salvage Earth. Like, let's be real, we're giving up on it. We're getting out of there. You know, like, anything else is just a fucking show for these people that we're leaving behind. We gotta do what's best for us.
All I can say with regards to the things you say, they're all valid. But all I can say is, my job is to see that Chariot ZETA launches. I'm trying to do that.
How quickly can Chariot ZETA launch?
Well, we still have personnel available.
We could launch early and unscheduled.
They're not. We can. Some of them might be able to make an early schedule, but you know we've had our embarkation date fairly set for some time now, and I'm sure that people have formed their plans around it. Not everyone will be able to make it if we move up the date. We can move up fueling. We can move up the loading of the critical supplies. I don't know.
I mean, the problem is with leaving early, it's not that I'm worried about cutting people off from their sappy and poetic goodbye parties here. It's that we need a minimum number of individuals to make this work in case our ship is the only one that makes it there. Otherwise, I'd say, if you're going, let's go. If you're not, sorry. I mean, it's a mission. These things happen. Like, I get it. Civilians probably don't understand that, but welcome to Chariot ZETA. This is my ship. I think an early launch is the best solution. Unannounced, unscheduled. I don't give a shit what the media says. I don't give a shit about any of that. This is about our survival and getting up there safely.
Well, we have the resources to make sure that everybody that should be on this ship will be on this ship.
Some people will not make it if you're above the deadline. We will also be shortcutting certain redundancy procedures.
Does that include security procedures?
Authorize the drones, sir.
I'm sorry, Northrop. This is probably just the biggest PR disaster you've ever even remotely been near.
It just if it requires us to engage in the kind of behavior that we're leaving Earth to save us humanity from, we have failed in our essential mission of preserving Earth. I have said my piece.
But if I leave tomorrow, you're still coming on my ship, though.
At least as of this moment, yes.
I thought so.
We were never going to leave behind the vagaries of humanity.
If we have to engage in those negative forces to achieve our goal, have we really achieved our goal?
I mean, they decided to recreate an imperfect person to get the job done. If that's what they wanted, that's what they got.
None of us are perfect. We are all born that way.
They could have made a much more effective, efficient, better performing, better functioning, better looking model, and they picked me.
I see no profit to you or nor us to go down this line of questioning, Captain. For whatever reason they picked you, they picked you. Much like we're all kind of stuck in our own bodies and ways.
Look, the alternative is letting Chariot get destroyed, right?
Potentially.
There is a significant risk, yes.
It's all speculation. I mean, this is
all speculation.
That's true of everything.
Oh, come on, Commander. It's not.
Kit's intelligence
this
has
is
never been
nonsense.
speculation, ever.
Intelligence is always speculation. There is
And maybe if you've done a better job at this beforehand, I'd be a little more confident in what you're doing now.
There is a possibility that the intelligence may be wrong. There is a possibility that our intelligence may be correct, but we do not get the pinpoint bomb. There is a possibility that our knowledge about how far they are along in the bomb making is incorrect, and they won't have the bomb ready in time. But there's a significant risk that if we do nothing, that Chariot Zeta will go up in a gravity ball, torn in half, and everybody killed.
We can't let that happen. We've got to launch early. We just need to find a way to get these people on the ship as covertly and early as possible. And
well, no, I mean, it sounds like the drone strike would prevent needing necessitating launching early, correct?
Presumably.
Assuming the strike, if we get the bomb, or if they have not finished the bomb, and we get Melichek, they will not be able to construct another such device before Chariot leaves. And Captain, with all respect, we just can't speed up the timetable that much without leaving behind a significant complement of the passengers.
I understand, however, I think
we can't teleport them all here, and the more we rush, the more we scrimp on. Every day until we launch is accounted for.
I understand, but since we can't,
our security personnel, no one's spending a moment sitting on their hands. So of necessity, we're shortchanging things.
Give me 2 days earlier. That's what I want. 2 days before launch. Shave off 2 days. That's all I'm gonna ask. I think that's enough. Because if they want a big, grand explosion, they're gonna do it when we launch.
I can have. But there's no way we're going to be able to keep our early launch date secret. There's just too many people.
Yeah.
We have to notify all the passengers, for one thing. There's no way, we cannot do that securely. Even if we could do it securely, they're not secure.
Yeah.
They will tell people. Information will get out.
But it'll make any terrorists scramble and have to change plans. Look, I don't think we're necessarily more adaptable than they are, but I think it could help us a little bit.
They will be building the bomb at the last minute.
But it's also not likely they'll have it in place.
No.
I mean, it could foil their plans a little bit.
In place is somebody walking up to the front gate of the compound where the ship is and setting the bomb off.
I mean, I need an option because I'm not going to sit here.
Pretend to be a journalist, and there's only so much we could do. We can't keep everybody at
You know me, though. Am I going to sit here and feel helpless about my ship's security being compromised? That's not going to happen. Either I go out and find whoever this is and just take him to task, or, we come up with another solution to prevent this from happening. Or we just launch the drone, and we just do it, and deal with the consequences.
It's your decision.
I mean, if we feel like the drone is really the only option, then I say we launch the drone immediately.
I think we have a possibility here of stopping this dead. And once the bomb has been made, if it has been completed, we will have lost that. And After that, we will be relying on, just be hoping for the best, frankly. Hoping we can spot any potential bomber before they can get close enough. Or hoping that something went wrong and we weren't able to finish the bomb in the first place. I don't want to put my faith in help like that.
I think we should launch it.
Not when there's something else.
I mean, last objections. Are there any? Or are we doing this?
I've raised all my complaints.
I mean, we're so close to launch. I'm not going to let anything screw this up.
All I'm going to say, Kit, is that if any of this is a lie, you're not boarding that ship. If any of this is a mistake, you're not boarding that ship. Authorize the drone strike.
Well, that's it. Let's make it happen.
It's done.
All right, off game. This is the perfect time to pause. Let's do a little bit of a break now, and then we can maybe get a report on what happened with the drone strike. Whoa, this is great. I did not expect this to go here, and I love it. So yeah, let's do like you want to do like a 15-minute break and then reconvene?
Sure.
Does that sound good to everyone? I'll put up a little away message thingy, and let's see, what time is it now? 4:39, so 4:55-ish, we'll come back and reconvene. That just seemed like a really good spot to do it, since we're kind of coming up on break o'clock anyway.
How much longer are we going to run?
How much longer do you guys want to go? I feel like there's maybe an hour and a half more of material in it following the consequence of whatever happens with this drone strike.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Although it's perfectly plausible that with the drone strike, as with a lot of these things, you don't really know what happened.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Some warehouses were blown up. Terrorism is suspected. And did we get them? No.
And do we want to
just
we
don't know the answer to that. If there's a big explosion or not in a week or two.
I mean, yeah, I'm thinking we should have a small immediate effect now, and then in a week or two, or in our next session, we have to face the repercussions of whatever happened.
Naturally.
Does that sound good? Because that'll kind of bring it to a close, and then we're the most military of all of the chariot runs. We really are. Yeah, I think that's cool. So I'm gonna bring small news back about other things, and we'll kind of go from there and discuss this a little bit more before we call it. But yeah, I think we can get another hour and a half in after break. Depending on what else we want to go into. But I have a couple other things to bring up, which I did not put on the initial docket. So have fun with that. All right, I'm gonna go. What's that?
Oh, I was just mentioning that.
I thought we were only going until 5 p.m. Eastern time. So.
Oh.
There's a possibility that I get a phone call that I have to deal with. But
Okay, that's fine.
So aim for an hour as opposed to an hour and a half, basically.
Yeah, we can do that too. We can do that. And if anyone has to take a phone call or whatever, just.
5 p.m. Eastern time is 20 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's when we come back from. That's when we come back. Yeah.
Stupid time zones.
My crazy time zone. Yeah, if that happens, just feel free to.
Time zones have tripped me up more times than I can count.
I know, it's so true. It's horrible time zones. Yeah, so if that happens, we'll just handle that in game. Kit gets phone calls all the time. They're all secret. every
Yeah,
single one.
stupid time zones. Why can't they just accept that noon is, at 3
Right?
o'clock in some places?
Right?
I love working with clients on like the West Coast because I'm a night owl. So when they're like, "Oh, it's like 9 a.m. too early," I'm like, "No, I think I can swing that." I'm like, because then I can get up like right before noon. So, all right, I'm gonna go get some food and put our little away message up. But feel free to keep talking. The stream's still on and everything.
Don't use their work. That's not how that works.
I have returned. I'm just gonna eat in game once we go back in, as like I do all the time. So there might be weird sounds popping up in the stream because I asked people to use their Twitch Prime accounts to subscribe to my channel for free, which is, that money is what I use to pay my other GMs. So, so if you hear weird noises or you hear my buddy Nick saying, "Tara, you have a subscriber," just like ignore it. It just means someone subscribed, and I already told them, like, I can't acknowledge that while I'm in game, but thank you anyway. So you might get a couple of those. It's also possible they'll just do it later. Alright, I think I have everything set. Is everybody back?
Yep. Yep, sorry.
Brandon, are you back? I don't think Brandon's back yet. Or he took that call. So, I'll wait till 5 and see. So we have 4 minutes.
Yep.
I hope my waffle isn't too loud. I'm gonna put my microphone over here. Chocolate chip waffles. Emily is like, every version of Emily is like the worst eater ever, except for the ship, except for Epsilon, because she has a chef. She has like a nutritionist on board who's always like, Emily, eat smarter. So next time I'm gonna show up as Emily Epsilon with like a plate of broccoli and be like, look how healthy I'm being. You know, that horrible Emily Zeta, she eats waffles. She doesn't know what she's doing. She just eats waffles all the time. I don't know. I just needed something fast to eat. Okay. So I'll wait like 3 more minutes. So I've got more news items I'm going to drop in game. And, yeah. It's going to be interesting. Poor Rello Hart and company just get shadier by the minute. I don't think Lamar was a fan of some of those revelations. I felt so bad for him. Like, in-game, I was like, suck it up, Buttercup, and out-of-game, I was like, I want to give him a hug.
Well, I mean, it's so weird, too, because I've been doing, like, Cleon stuff for the Avernus, you know, for the Avernus Ephemeria.
Yeah.
And so it's all like, all this, you know, this is all about, you know, we only have this beautiful society because people are willing to do horrible things.
Always fun.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. I was talking about Minerva with Herb, who of course played Reese, and for those watching and for those who haven't played the game before, they were like kind of almost an item, but not really. And like we always joke about it, and I was like, so she doesn't carry a torch for him still, but she kind of carries a candle. And then like I'm playing through this game, and I'm like, I feel like this is a theme with, like, every single character. Like, that's Minerva. That's Selena. Now that's Emily. I'm like, what is wrong with me?
I know I've had that comment. It was like, I play RPGs, LARPs. It's entirely for therapy purposes. There's nothing else. So.
Apparently I just carry a torch forever. That's fine. Whatever. It's cool. Selena's in her, like, fairy realm now, and she's like, I hope Joe's not dead. I ship it forever. It's true. And now, like, it just happened when, like, So, like, I'd had this shirt, which was actually my real grandfather's shirt, and originally Minerva's grandfather's shirt. And I was like, oh, I want to do something funny and cute. So I had it, like, over on the side. And then as soon as we were off public stream, I was like, Kit, I'm borrowing your shirt. I just put it on. I was like, damn it, my characters. Every time. And they're Dubois colors, of course.
Most important.
Most importantly. So I think we're coming up to 5. I don't know if... Oh, good. You're back. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, I'm good with going back in game if all of you are ready. So we just had a super serious moment of our characters agreeing, some begrudgingly, to, authorize a drone strike. Super shady. But with the understanding that destroying this target would save Chariot, or at least significantly reduce the potential for sabotage and destruction. And then we kind of left it off as Kit was like, okay, we'll do it after Emily ordered it. So we paused there because that was a really good...
Yes, actually, Kit said it's done.
It's done, yeah. So it happened. If Kit said it happened, it happened.
Not that the drone strike had taken place, necessarily, but rather that, we...
He executed the order, yeah. So we decided to do that, which is a little different than maybe the course of actions of some of the other Chariot crews. It's a little
different.
Characters. I'm like, look, this character is so, like, this Emily is so much more warlike than the other ones. The other ones are, like, hardened veterans, but she's like, let's do it, let's just take them out. Like, I don't know, I blame her programming. I blame Kit. I blame Kit some more. Yeah, pretty much. And we were just talking before you came back on, Brandon, about all of my characters. Like, if they don't carry a torch for someone, they carry a candle. Like, it's just this weird theme that, like, just keeps happening. I don't know. Like, friggin' Minerva, Selena, Emily, all of them. What is wrong with me? Oh my god. Psychoanalysis on my Twitch stream. Okay, so I'm gonna get all my laughs out. Serious character time. So we've just launched that, and we're gonna deal with it, and we've got some other news items rolling in. Okay. We all ready? Alright. 3, 2, 1. Game on. Well, that didn't take long. There are apparently reports of seismic activity in the UK. That's what they call it nowadays. Yeah, seismic activity.
A good euphemism.
Yeah, I'm sure everything will be completely fine. I understand that some other Chariot crews are working on peace-building initiatives in the event of an encounter with an extraterrestrial. Meanwhile, we're just over here cleaning up the mess.
Oh, God.
Making a bigger one.
No, we're not making a bigger mess. We're making sure that everything's secure. I feel like we have the best chance of survival. It's important.
I'm sure if we meet any aliens that are thinking, maybe we should attack these humans, I'm going to have a very sore surprise when they meet us.
I mean, look, Lamar will handle that if it happens. I'm sure he's completely trained to deal with encountering.
Communicating with extraterrestrials, well,
yeah.
I have dealt with some very particular clients over the years.
Right? I don't think they'd show up with guns blazing, and if they do, well, I feel bad for them.
All right.
You feel bad for them if they show up with guns blazing? I think you might spare a care for us if they show up with guns blazing, since their guns would be better than our guns.
Well, Kit, let's be real.
Oh, my apologies. Just a moment.
Those aliens haven't met me yet. Or at least not this version of me. So, I think they're the ones in for some trouble. That's all I have to say after 4 shots of whiskey and half of a waffle.
Well, one hopes that guns will not be blazing on either side of the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm. So, I mentioned earlier that Emily Epsilon had upon her ship my sister. And
Sarah, right?
correct.
Yes.
And this is the thing about Sarah. I want her on this ship. So I'm going to try to make that happen. How do you guys feel about that?
What tactics are going to be going to
use?
I love how you immediately jump to what kind of tactics are you going to use. Guys. It was going to be
I think that we're all agreed that the end is a perfectly reasonable one. The question is the means here.
Well,
correct.
it was going to be more like a recovery app.
A recovery app, as in, some might call that a
You're
kidnapping.
going to do a commando raid on Chariot Epsilon?
I was going to rebrand it as more of a expeditionary mission. It's for my sister.
Well, I understand your desire to be with your sister. I don't think authorizing expeditionary forces to the other chariots is going to be a good way to do that.
So yeah, well, what if they retaliate?
With what, their plant-based nutrition? Like, what are they gonna retaliate with?
Those are not that hard to acquire, actually.
I'm just saying, I feel like there might be a way to make it happen, maybe before our launch date.
I think
Will
the only one
consenting to this little snatch and grab?
She's my sister, why wouldn't she?
I think the best course
Well, she
is to talk to your sister.
She may consider that she's already with her sister.
Well, I'm her sister too.
Yes.
So,
But if she wanted to change ships, she might already have made overtures to that regard, right?
well, she probably just doesn't want to piss off the less competent Emily.
Have you
So
considered
do you plan to ask her?
right?
Or are you just going to impose your will upon her and assume that she'll be alright with that afterwards?
I don't know, Kit. That's worked pretty well for you in the past.
Well,
You gonna say that I didn't learn a trick or two from your expertise?
If you're... It's not the one I'd have anybody, but frankly.
Look, if you guys want me to talk to her, I'll try talking to her. It's certainly a more exhaustive means of convincing somebody rather than just reorganizing by more traditional methods, but
By more traditional methods, you mean kidnapping? Supposing she tries to escape, are you going to shoot her?
well, did you really think I would be the one actually doing this?
Are you going to authorize somebody else to shoot her?
Are you offering, Kit? Are you offering? Would you do that for me?
before, oh,
No.
I really hope nobody's hacked it.
No, Captain, with all due respect, I would not do this.
Well, then I guess unless Lucas wants to do it.
Look, I'm not authorizing an expeditionary force to go and kidnap your sister. You should talk to your sister and see what she wants.
And I already know. I know that Lamar is going to be like, okay, Emily, you need to talk to her first. Am I right?
No, actually, I'm not going to say that.
Oh, what is your opinion on this?
I'm going to say that you need to not take military action against another chariot. I don't care what you do instead, but that should be prescribed as a, big red line through it. Don't do that, okay? You come up with some other means, creative persuasion, that's fine. It's just, let's try not to already start fighting each other. Let's try not to live up to their accusations.
All right, so you're saying that contacting Sarah and offering an alternate means, rather than just kidnapping her, rather, I don't even know how to describe her. She's a tough cookie. I'm not saying she'd like come in armed, but she's a smartass.
If you want to kidnap her on your own time, that's okay.
Well, anything I do is like official, so.
Yeah, that's the problem. Okay.
Wait, no, it isn't. That's right. I do have
It's also not okay.
Let's talk to your sister.
Keeping my goals narrow.
Well,
All
do
right.
you want me to talk to your sister?
Lucas, I feel like that might be a better option, or at least a less forceful one.
Well, I certainly would not attempt to kidnap her.
Thank you. I appreciate that solution. Please reach out to her at your earliest convenience. I will make sure to give you the the access. Actually, there's a general Chariot channel in the feed. You should be able to find her in there.
Perfect. Her name is, I take it, Sarah Sullivan?
That's correct. I hope that doesn't.
Found information.
I hope that doesn't disrupt things too much.
Do you want me to message them now?
If you'd like, she might be online. That would be kind of funny. If she could just hop on. Bring her by, have her meet the rest of the crew. I'm sure she's certainly curious about more than one of you, I'm sure. Or would be if she knew about you.
Can imagine, yes.
Alright. So now that we have that settled, I'd feel a lot better about life if I had my sister on the ship, actually. Checking the news feed here. So far, it's just that earthquake thing. Like, I feel like we're okay. It's very under the radar. And I haven't had any more communication from the civilians union, so I feel like we actually handled that pretty well. It feels good.
Progress.
Yeah, it feels good to have a day to not be all stuffy and on the public feed. Like, this is great. We've got waffles, guys. This is great. I'm gonna have to go get more whiskey soon, but I know there's some in store here. It looks like there are lots of suspicions in the public about Chariot Gamma. People are saying Relahart is doing some super secret experiment on them. People are saying that Relahart has hired them to do super secret experiments on other creatures. And then they have apparently redone that meme from a few centuries ago of aliens, whatever that means. Is this something we're going to attempt to, like, contain? Do we care?
What? People think that Will Elhart is experimenting on aliens?
Well, the media. So apparently, like in so Chariot Beta, had a woman named Nora on board.
I've heard of her, yes.
Right. So Nora apparently was very good at manipulating the media for political outcomes. But she's a Chariot Beta problem now. She's not doing that. However, it seems that like one of the things that she did to manipulate political outcomes, for example, was if there was legislation about animal welfare being passed, and she wanted it to pass through. Like, she doesn't seem like she was a bad person, so she wanted help for animals, and so she leaked a movie, one of the Roxy Sweet movies, about animals, about, you know, like a close relationship between, you know, a human and their pet. And she released that. She leaked it early to sway public opinion so that they would pressure their congresspeople to vote in favor of animal welfare when really no one had previously thought of that as like a, you know, important issue considering the world's turned upside down right now. So without her here, apparently more and more things are coming to pass that might have worked out a little bit better under her nuanced system. And yeah, so all sorts of wild stuff is getting through, and the media in general seems to be a little bit wilder. And one of the things that has come out is these theories that Chariot Gamma is like involved in some kind of experiment or engaging with aliens, and just as official representatives of another chariot, we do have an opportunity to control that message in a way that benefits us. So do we want to influence the media in any way? I'm sure Chariot Epsilon will hear all about that next week as well.
What is the way in which we can benefit us?
I mean, I can make the feed public again and say whatever I want.
So, my one worry about this is, if we protect Gamma, and it turns out that there is something seriously wrong happening on Gamma, that could be a problem for us. On the other hand, if we join in the chorus of demonizing Gamma, and it turns out that it was actually just something minor, that would also become a problem for, well, our descendants.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go after Gamma, and as far as I know, Gamma doesn't even have an Emily, so that's even less of a reason for me to have a conflict with them, right? So I have no issues.
Try something like we tried with Epsilon, where I'll make some kind of outreach to them and see if we can get a dialogue going to find out what's going on.
Yeah, you know, you seem to be all about reaching out and talking to people before just fighting them or kidnapping them. Let's give it a try. What could possibly go wrong, right? Maybe we can support them.
Right. Is Gamma, are they back to communicating?
As far as I know, no. But you can send something out there. See what you get back. Their comms are going on and off.
Right.
And I don't have any real info on that unless Kit wants to volunteer something.
There are viewports on the ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
On their ship. You can see into it.
Well,
do you mean if you're crawling on the hull?
Well, they're on like a station, I think, right now, orbiting. They're not like on Chariot yet.
Yeah, they're linked to Mars Low Earth Orbit Station number 3. It's a dry dock, basically.
Well, I'm sure it still has viewports.
What exactly do you want with viewports?
Well, I am from Mars. I know several people on Mars with their personal ship.
Oh, sure.
Mm.
But of course, you know, if Chariot Gamma has any untoward intentions, they'll know when a ship's approaching.
But, well, if they have untoward intentions, then we know there's something seriously wrong.
Right. Simply saying that they might react badly to somebody crawling around on their hull if they don't know exactly who it is.
So do we really think that they're not just communicating with other beings, but conspiring with them, as some of the more outlandish media outlets are suggesting?
At this point, we don't even know that they're communicating with other beings.
No. We really don't know anything about the situation at all.
At this point, we don't even know if other beings exist.
Yeah, I tend to think no, and if they do, I'd like to fight them.
You'd like to see what they're like.
Certainly attempting to make direct contact seems like a reasonable thing to do. Captain, why do you want to fight them?
I think it's because our captain likes fighting things.
Yes,
Which is why there's going to be a fight club on the show.
If they're
Several shots of whiskey, that's why.
Look, if we encounter otherworldly beings, we're going to have Northrop, Lamar, you deal with them first. We've all agreed on it.
That's fine. Unfortunately, he's not up there with Gamma, so
True.
who knows what even is really going on. I hope I'm just not buying into, like, media hype, because who knows what's happening.
Well, there seems to be some level of communication using some advanced technology that's been never seen before, right? This neutrino wave business.
well, we know what neutrino waves are.
Well,
We've
yes,
just never used them to do communications before.
exactly.
There wouldn't be any purpose of doing that, except, I mean, there's some theoretical purpose of using neutrino waves if you're trying to communicate over extraordinarily long distances. Because neutrino waves, well, theoretically at least, they can move faster than the speed of light.
But theory and practice are very different things.
Well, I mean, that is to say, the mathematics, no one's ever tried to do this yet, but the mathematics are that the signal in neutrino waves can move faster than the speed of light.
So, as I'm sure others have tried direct communication with them, right?
Oh, yes. Quite a number of people have tried to radio them. We've tried to radio them.
So they're not responding to direct communication.
They are not responding to requests for communication, correct? Not over standard radio or laser link.
Do we know that there are life signs on this station?
No, we have no way of detecting life signs from a distance. We know that the ship's power systems seem to be operating normally. Its drive systems are powered down, as you'd expect from something in orbit. But otherwise, it's radiating commensurate with normal other systems being on.
Would those systems fail after a few days of nobody checking on them?
They wouldn't. No, they could operate for a rather long time.
I guess we know the lights are on. The question is anybody home? And do they want to talk to us?
And is it even our problem?
The answer to the latter is no.
Right.
Because they've had every opportunity. So either they don't want to talk to us or they can't talk to us.
I think the best solution is sending somebody up to flash their lights at them and see if there's someone there.
Oh, yeah. Sending somebody up to knock on their door. Just make sure whoever you send knows what they're getting into.
Naturally.
Lucas, do you have a trusted friend or contact, particularly one who has been vetted in a military capacity, who could...
I mean, I'm still technically a commander in the military.
Well,
Just order a subordinate to do it if I want to.
Do you have somebody in mind who is trustworthy to do that?
Yes, I can send somebody up.
I mean, it would certainly be interesting, as long as they were willing to take upon themselves that risk. Any more information that we can find out is going to help the success of our mission. So if they're, if their craft is surrounded or infiltrated by aliens, which I don't think is likely. I think that's a bunch of sensationalist crap. But if it is, it might be best to know that now, so that when we swing by Mars, we can maybe avoid that, or just not swing by Mars. Clear the air a little bit, I don't want an antagonistic relationship with them. If they're working on communication, then let them work on communication. I just want to make sure there are no threats for us when we swing by.
I know if a few good pilots, I'll send one of them up and ship and see if they'll take a few pictures for us.
I appreciate that.
SOS, whatever the equivalent. I forget asking them Morse code for a long time.
I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely.
Just make sure that Kit vets this person, please.
Sure, Kit. I'll send you their name and their rank and identifying information.
I can just make sure there's no black marks against them anywhere, but as much as I can do.
Right.
Well, between that and Lucas, your trust of this person, I'm sure that
Sure.
we can get it done.
No, I don't have any political affiliation.
Do we need me to go up there and also offer, I don't know, see if I can give them the watchtower or something?
Well, if you get blown up, that's a bit of a problem for us, because then it's just 3 military men on the ship.
Yeah, you're entirely too valuable for us to send up there at this point.
All right.
Especially considering the tenuous situation with Epsilon and my need to extend that diplomatic invitation to Sarah. Yeah, we need you here. So I appreciate you being willing to put your life on the line for that. For the sake of communication.
I mean, admittedly, it just seems like it's probably going to be something, well, not so dire, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I will certainly have a report for you soon.
I appreciate that. Does anybody have anything else major to go over before I deliver our last bit of news?
At the moment, I don't have anything.
Lead us on, Captain.
All right. This one's gonna be a big one, so it's gonna take a little bit. Not what I expected to be telling all of you today, and I'm still keeping this on our private channel because, if you're like me, you're not going to know how to react to this, and you're not going to have anticipated this at all. There apparently is a spiritual group, a religious group, as it were, forming, and they are kind of meshing with another group who is all about worshiping the beauty of artificial intelligence, and a group who is very fervent about their beliefs in the spirit of Chariot. And these groups apparently had some kind of summit where they came together and decided to combine their religious beliefs. So we are not yet in the stars. We are not yet upon Chariot. And yet it seems that we would be revered.
Oh, God.
I think people are at this point in Earth's history looking for a port, like any port in a storm. Because everything's just going to hell.
And apparently we're going off to heaven.
People are going to deal with things how they're going to deal with things, but, you could be the new St. Lucas. How does that make you feel, buddy?
Exactly right. How does that make me feel? Well, I'd rather not be St. Lucas, thank you. Oh, Lord.
Right? Yeah.
Well, they're not violent, right? They haven't shown tendencies for that.
As far as I know, no. This is just, it started out as a fluff piece that I see on my feed, and now it's gotten more traction, and again, without Nora Larson on Earth to apparently control how some of this media functions. Various interesting things are coming up about Chariot. So, yeah, they're actually currently debating what to call the religion. And I actually think it's a terrible idea, but I also believe that people are going to need something to hold on to in the most trying time in Earth's history. And there are a lot of angry feelings about us potentially abandoning them, too. And there are a lot of people out there who are not going to like what they're doing just because they're against us. Not just your typical terrorists, I guess, but your people who feel abandoned. So, I don't even know if it's our problem. I don't even know that it's our problem. But I do feel like it's something we should all be aware of. You know, in case you're walking down the street and somebody asks you, hey, what do you think about that whole new religion that you're kind of now a part of, even though you're not? Right. So, I mean, they did it with Star Wars. People feel like they're really Jedi, and it only makes sense that the mythology of something that we're doing for real, I guess, gathers some sort of steam. It's just very bizarre that it's meshed with this worship of AI. And actually that's the part of it that makes me the most uncomfortable, because I feel that I'm a very imperfect person.
It's a real problem, actually.
How so?
Something like that as part of a chariot, I think, would doom it, because it would create a two-tier society.
Mm.
Are any of the people on Chariot going to be a part of this?
Well, if this is a major trend, then there's always the likelihood that some people on the chariots will feel this way too.
Especially future chariots.
Yes.
Well, I'm content to leave the future chariots to deal with this issue.
Well, no, I mean, it'll be our problem too. Suppose there's a later chariot that is staffed all with artificial intelligences who believe themselves to be superior, or who have who have human servants who are deliberately subservient.
Well, you worry about stratification of society. I worry about free exercise of religion. I don't want to tell these people they can't believe what they want to believe, even if I think it's blasphemous.
Who's saying that at all? I'm saying it. I think it's likelihood they'll get to proximate.
I mean, what is it that we can do with that? You know, I can publicly tell everybody I'm not a saint or a god. I don't think that's going to quiet anybody.
I think what the captain wants us to do is just not to ruffle feathers. So have a bland non-answer ready should anyone surprise you with this question.
Yeah.
I mean, Kit, I see what you're saying about the future ramifications of this being a problem. I hear what we're saying about AI possibly thinking themselves better and having a group of individuals kind of propagating that as truth. So I see it actually as more of a long-term problem for our descendants than I do for us. Like, if this grows to be a thing, and, a ship comes to Proxima B 5 years after us, 10 years after us even, and believes in the superiority or some kind of intrinsic beauty of AI above humans, and we're already settled there with our own ideals and our own beliefs and our own ability to defend ourselves, as Chariot Zeta will absolutely have, that's a problem.
Well, it seems like we're going to be bringing religious conflict with us through the stars.
Which is kind of what I hoped would not happen And yet here we are with people. I don't want to invalidate their beliefs, but I feel like considering we are the subject of this religion, we have a right to say that it's bullshit if we think it is, and I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I'm very uncomfortable with that, but
they can do what they want to do, but I think it's bullshit. I think that, I mean, I know that one of the chariots actually had a priest on board, so it's not like, you know, part of the vision of Chariot to have no religion or anything like that. I mean, we have Catholicism on board one of the ships, but, you know, I just, as the subject of this, I'm not comfortable with them in any way thinking that artificial intelligence is beautiful, when in many ways it is something that people aren't given a choice about. It's something that people are not always told about. I mean, my life would have been a little different if someone was like, hey, we created you to do this thing, versus me finding out, how will I say it, in a very personal conversation.
Right?
well, essentially, as someone who has had to put up with people telling him throughout his life that his religion is bullshit, I'm very sensitive to telling that to other people. I hope you understand.
I mean, I have no issues with that. I understand. But considering this centers around us, it is up to us, you know, it is up to us to determine what we feel about this.
If somebody asked you if you were a god, Lamar, what would you say?
I would say no.
Right.
I would probably direct them to some very specific literature on that topic.
There you go. I mean, if somebody were to ask you if you were a saint or if you deserved reverence.
You understand the distinction there between entering into a dialogue around these bases and sort of shutting things down is what it sounds like where people are leaning.
Well, I mean, having a dialogue is one thing, but we can't have a dialogue with 500,000 people.
Well, no one's asking us to, correct?
Not yet.
We could make a statement. I mean, I feel like people need something to get through the next day. Before I knew that I was going on Chariot, I needed something to get me through the next day. You know, I've got my good friend back there, Whiskey. Might have had another vice or two or association or two throughout the years that might have helped me do that. But for the most part, it's been me and Whiskey, right? So everyone needs their thing, and if that helps them get through, I understand, but it is a security concern for Chariot ZETA. That's where I want to shut it down.
Well, so what are we proposing? So you intend some kind of global statement on this topic?
I mean, I think a statement would be good because it can define it on our terms. We're not passing legislation to outlaw whatever type of worship. I agree that would be over the top and wrong. But while we have the platform to control the message, it might be good to do that now before we leave and we're in the heavens. Not something I anticipated. You know, you always read the theories about confronting extraterrestrials, and if they're more powerful than you, they blow you away, and if they're less powerful than you, then they worship you as gods. Kind of weird to think about this from the perspective of humanity in the here and now. We're a scientifically advanced society. Like, why are we even dealing with this? Like, why is a new religion even a thing?
Well, people invent their own religions every day. I think they have the truth. It's their choice, I suppose. But I feel like there's no harm in saying that we're uncomfortable with being revered. Do you
I
think
mean,
there's
does everybody feel okay with me just saying, as a representative of Chariot Zeta, we are uncomfortable with this form of reverence? Lamar, how you?
Reasonable to say that that this viewpoint is not yours, but of course people are entitled to believe what they wish.
Lamar, what are you thinking about this?
I agree with the lieutenant's modification of the statement.
Well, if you then, Lamar, would like to write up something formal, then I will be able to deliver it in a fashion that suits the sensibilities of our crew.
Okay.
Does that sound acceptable? Because we had to say something. I mean, come on, it's weird. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I'll be less judgy. I'll stick to the script, I swear. I swear. That's why you write things to me.
One of the reasons.
Yeah.
That's also why this won't be an interactive.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the last big news item I had, which is still... Is that even news? It's weird.
And at least it's not the threat that the ship's going against.
That's true. That was something new. But we're gonna just have to wait it out and deal with the repercussions of this. Does anybody else have any other news items or anything they want to discuss before we sign off?
No, I don't have anything I can think of at the moment.
All right.
Anybody else?
No, Commander.
Not for me.
All right. Well, it's been quite a day. So, signing off from my secure location, this is Captain Emily O'Sullivan of Chariot Zeta. I hope everybody has a great night.